Thanks for coming back with us on the Chevy pregame. At 21-10, the Yankees are tied with Arizona for the second best record of the majors behind Boston. Now, there was a time in which Didi Gregorius was considered to be an important piece for the Diamondbacks, but the Yanks were able to pry Didi away, and the success he's having now might wind up making that trade Brian Cashman's best as general manager. The reigning American League Player of the Month was a big topic during a recent interview Jack conducted with Cashman.
Brian, so far in 2018, what has most impressed you about the Yankees?
Didi. You know, Didi's been, he's just been on a tear, so it's been pretty impressive to see how he's gone about his business and the success he's had.
Even before the Yankees acquired Didi Gregorius in a three-team trade in December of 2014, he was a player that the organization coveted. Why were you so interested in acquiring him?
Our analytics team always, viewed him as a player with high ceiling. So, those worlds all were, in unison and married together on the same type of assessment. But then relationships are a big part of the game. Kevin Towers, my dear friend, who's now passed, but he was general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I remember he acquired him from Cincinnati, at a Double-A, and KT and I would always talk. I'm like, what'd you see in this guy? And he honestly believed that the sky was the limit for him, and he thought he was willing to place a big bet on him when he got him from the Reds in a big trade. And so I tried later on to get him through KT. I always remembered all the different things he gave me because he was an exceptional baseball mind, that he had given me information on his thought process on Didi, and then you layer that on top of what your current information was. So now as we circle through, I was trying to get him through Dave Stewart, then GM of the Diamondbacks. I couldn't get it done. I couldn't match up with him as much as we tried. But then ultimately we were able to pull a rabbit out of the hat with a three-team trade when I approached Dave Dombrowski on December 1st of 2014. And by December 5th, the deal was done.
How often did you think this just might not get done? He might not be my next shortstop.
Oh, I never thought it was going to get done. I mean, ultimately, Dave Stewart recognized that he had a high-ceiling player on his hand. No matter what I kind of lined up for him, it just wasn't moving his needle. And we tried other teams. I know Billy Epler at the time was our assistant general manager, and he called the Texas Rangers and said, hey, they wanted Shane Green. If you want Shane Green, if you can get us Didi, and Texas went through Stu on that one, too, and it came back. Stu was telling those guys, I think this guy has a chance to be an all-star, and he didn't see a match with Texas. But ultimately, my connection with Dave Dombrowski in Detroit, and I knew they coveted Shane Green, too. And it's not like we wanted to move Shane Green, but you have to give a lot to get a lot. And so, I threw his name Detroit's way, and Dave, within 72 hours, had a deal.
How does the player Didi has become match up with the high ceiling of the player you thought you were acquiring?
Every decision we make is a painful one with the unknown. You think you obviously do something because you think it's going to be in your best interest, but you also recognize it doesn't necessarily always work out that way because it's a tightrope. You're always walking, and you want it to be a payoff for your fan base. That's what it ultimately does. It's something that you look back and say it's a no-brainer the way it's played out so far, for us at least. In real time, when you're making these decisions, they're difficult. That's what you're paid to do, but they're not as easy as how it looks right now.